Hey Artemis fam, this is Shonda back with another episode for the Power and Community Podcast. Welcome back. I'm so excited because we have another filmmaker on by the name of Samuel Lee Fudge. This dude wears so many hats, but the first one is definitely an actor, and then a filmmaker, and then an educator. He drops so many gems to us about how to not only just create films, but really just bring back community through the things that we create, through our struggles, our issues. He also brings up topics like faith and just how to use your experiences to kind of empower you to empower those around you. And that's what we're about here on the Power and Community Podcast. Why are you still looking at me? Why are you still listening to me? Let's go ahead and tap into this episode. Fam, Shonda here for another episode of the Power and Community Podcast. Today we have another amazing guest that I can't wait to share with you all by the name of Samuel Lee Fudge. Welcome to the Power and Community Podcast, Samuel.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited for today's episode. So a quick intro, Samuel is an actor, director, writer, and educator, and probably many other hats that I'm sure he's going to share with us on the episode. And so what we're doing on the Power and Community Podcast is bringing people on who are changing their community. And Samuel does that through film, through acting, through writing, directing, and even educating other people on how to do those same things. Samuel, do you do anything else that I'm leaving out? Because sometimes I do that.
No, I think you pretty much summed it up. By next year, it'll probably be more additions. You know, I'm constantly trying to evolve and become anew and become better and greater at what I do. So as of now, you hit it with the nail right on the tee. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, cool. So speaking of evolving and evolution, I know from like our previous conversations that you started off as an actor. How did you go from being an actor to now being behind the camera and then sometimes in front of the camera too?
Two main things. The first main thing was the process of auditions, the process of putting your all into a material, putting your all into someone else's work, and going beyond to make yourself to come off as worthy enough to be a part of this person's project or to fit this person's vision. You know, doing all these things, the necessary steps to book a gig, and then ultimately being told no. So after constantly going through rejection, you know what I mean, and knowing my potential, knowing how great I am, I took it upon myself to create my own vision and somewhat tell my own story and my own, basically write out my own journey, my own successes through my own work and my craft. I love the idea of putting my vision out to the world. You know what I mean? Even acting is great. You know, acting is a great experience. I'm able to change just lives through my performances, but I have a bigger platform and I have a bigger availability to do that through on the other side of the lens by telling stories and filming them through production.
Yeah, I love that you kind of just took the bull by the horns and just was like, look, I'm tired of y'all waiting on y'all to tell me yes, I'm just gonna do it. And I think that's really aspirational and just inspiring, because a lot of the times we do wait for like yeses and for people to affirm us. And to be honest, like given the industry of film, you don't really always have the time to wait, because that could be like 10, 15 years before you get your quote unquote big break, right? So you kind of gotta do it by any means necessary. And when I hear the term any means necessary, I think about what you're speaking to me about. But what does that mean to you when considering your evolution from being an actor to now being like a writer, director, and creating something, even being in front of the camera sometime, like in your one film, Lotus? What does it mean to by any means necessary? What does that mean to you?
The one and biggest example of any means necessary to me is my mother. You know what I mean? I grew up with a single mother. My mother raised me up until the time I became an adult. So through any obstacle or trial or pressures or whatever, I've always seen my mom. As a child, I always seen my mom maintain posure, more importantly, faith, And she always made a way for us, you know, even when we went through the darkest times. And we went through some dark, very dark times, you know, but my mom always kept her head up and kept going. And one single mother, you know, even after her sacrifices, I've seen her make plenty of sacrifices, whether it been financially or through time or health or energy. You know what I mean? She made sacrifices to make sure that my sister and myself had a better life than she did. So like here I am at 30 years old with an education from a university and from a college, from an arts college. I was able to pursue my dream. You know, I was fortunate enough to say, hey, I want to go to school for acting. All those decisions or those choices that I had the liberty to make came from my mom's sacrifices when we were kids. And so any means necessary is doing whatever you have to do, you know what I mean, to make a way, to provide a way. And my mom set a great example for me. And here I am, you know, by any means necessary, making it through the industry, telling my stories, telling the stories of people that come from the same backgrounds, the same circumstances in which I came from. Any means necessary, making it regardless, relentlessly, not letting up, not giving up. As a human, you may face discouragement at times, but yet and still, you still persevere and make it to the mountaintop. That's the finish line for my journey. I call it the mountaintop.
I'm glad that you even have a finish line in sight. Like, that's cool. I know that we shouldn't like cap ourselves, but I do think we should have like our ultimate goals, like in our mind constantly to remind us of our why. We had a filmmaker by the name of Dio Coleman on, and she kept saying that too. Like, your why is like the most thing that you should just keep at the forefront, because it is what keeps you going. It is what keeps you producing and creating. And so you talked a lot about growing up with your mom and growing up like by any means necessary, her getting it in so that you can have and that you can elevate in life and kind of do the things that you needed to do. I want to hear more about you growing up. So I know that you're originally from Miami, you living in Augusta, Georgia right now, but what was it like growing up in those Miami streets? Like, and how does that reflect in your work?
Um, Growing up in Miami, as a kid, I had to face reality at a very early age. I know I don't know if it's cliche, but I guess a lot of people, I hear a lot of people say it where I'm from, but I didn't I wouldn't say I had a full childhood. You know what I mean? I had to learn what being an adult was very early. I had to encounter experiences that a lot of children my age wasn't experiencing, and seeing things that a lot of kids my age wasn't seeing as well. So for the most part, and to be quite honest, like I'll be completely honest with you, I kind of, the one word I had for my childhood once upon a time was bleak. I dreaded, you know, where I came from. That was before I learned the blessing in where I came from. But it was tough, you know, it was hard. It was very tough. I spent a lot of time questioning God, myself, my mom, just questioning why. Like, why was my life this way? Why am I experiencing this? Why do I have to live in a motel and go to school the next morning and smile in front of everyone like everything's okay? You know, why do I have to see my mom go through these things? Why do I have to sit with the lights off in the household with cold water, bathing in cold water? So I went through a lot of things, you know what I mean? But those things, like I said, it taught me I was forced to learn what reality was, but it also made me stronger and more wise. And so how it affects my work now, I create work for people who are similar to me. I create work to kind of to go back, in a sense, going back and rewriting my childhood and making it better for children who are growing up right now in Miami, Florida. A lot of my work is real, it's authentic, sometimes harsh. It is the harsh reality, but that's only because that's how I saw reality, is harsh, but with purpose and meaning behind it. Things are hard and rough for a reason. And had I not experienced those things, you know, I wouldn't be great right now. You know, people wouldn't say, "Oh man, I love your work. I can watch Lotus 1,000 times, and each time there's something in it." And so that was the blessing of it. And I had to get to this point to learn that. But overall and generally, I create work for the underdog. I create motivational work, work to make people, work that will motivate and influence people who are currently in mucky, crazy circumstances, to motivate them to get up and have faith and look forward towards tomorrow, look forward towards next week, the month after, years after. And yeah, and it's crazy because just as I created, I still have to live by it. So even now at this point, like I still go through trials and tribulations. I still go through struggles. In fact, it's probably it's different, but it's still there. It's harder now. I would say it's harder. But by me creating the work that I create, I also have to honor and live by the same words and encouragement that I'm putting out through my work. So it's constant. It's like a recycle. It's like a constant energy, our spirit given out and being given back to me. Because just as I motivate the people look at me. People also look at me as like, hey, you are the one. You know, you are the motivation. Don't forget, you are the Lotus. So it pushes me to go further, man. But my reality, I mean, my childhood and growing up in Miami, it was tough. It's somewhat of like this next film that I'm doing, 38. We're going back to Miami and we're shooting on the life of Miami. But the overall theme of it, and it's just to give you a metaphor of how it was growing up. The whole theme of 38 is militant, war, all these things that correlate to war. You know what I mean? I have been diagnosed with PTSD from a therapist. You know what I mean? I have been diagnosed with depression, and most of these things stem from my childhood. So I obviously can't go back and fix it. But what I can do is from this point on create art that will definitely help children who are going through the same circumstances and experiences that I went through.
I mean, you just said so much, so much. It makes me wish this episode was way longer so we could even unpack more of those things. Yeah, because I even consider myself a child who struggled. My mom was a single mom of 4 kids, but even listening to you, I can hear that it's a next level.
Yeah.
It's definitely next level. And yeah, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. And for lack of better words, very deep, because I think there's so much to be said about where you've been through. And if you hadn't walked through those things, could you be a voice for people who continue to walk through those things today? So it's like, I get what you're saying when you're saying there's a purpose for pain, and people don't like to hear that a lot of the times, but we can, when we go through things that are horrible, we can reach back for people who are also going through those horrible things and might need somebody to say, I made it through that. Yeah, I'm still dealing with the things that happened because of that, but I made it through that. So I did want to ask you, so with all of the emotional things that you place in your work, like 38 that you're writing, and then, or that you're filming, and then the short film Lotus, have you ever had anybody like emotionally connect with your work and actually tell you, like, have you ever had a moment where somebody is like, man, that really spoke to me? And what was that like? If you could pick one, what was that like?
I can't be specific because there's so many at this point, but I can definitely be general as possible. I get that all the time from people that live in Miami, and now it has expanded to other cities as well. People reach out to me all the time on social media and just express to me how Lotus made them think differently about life and where they come from. Lotus has influenced them to make the right choices in life and not be afraid to do that. I think I expressed to you the other day, a lot of people where I come from, mediocrity, the culture or the vibe where I come from, mediocrity is comfortability. Mediocrity is that's the norm. That's a social norm. So anyone making a decision outside of mediocrity, it's looked at, it's frowned upon. It's not encouraged. It's not motivated. So a lot of people tell me all the time, like Lotus has, influenced them to make those appropriate choices in their life to better their life, and they are not afraid to be different. And these are like gangsters. these are like ex-felons. You know what I mean? These are drug dealers. These are high school dropouts. These are people who what society would look at as the have-nots and the not gonna make it. You know what I mean? Just exclude them from society and let them figure it out. So most of the time, more times than not, these are the people who are communicating with me and expressing their gratitude from that work for Lotus specifically. Yeah, so it's how it feels. It's I gained a sense of responsibility. You know what I mean? I gained a sense of purpose, a bigger purpose and a bigger responsibility. Like I said, just as I created, I have to live it myself. So it keeps me motivated, self-motivated, but also it's responsibility that I got to keep creating no matter what. Like I don't, and I'm still a professional actor. You know what I mean? I still audition. I still audition and I still create. But whenever I drift off and wanting to go into my actor's world, I always have to remind myself, like, hey, there's someone right now that's needing your work. There's someone that's feeding your work. They need this, man. They have to live off this. And that thought always takes me back to saying, hey, you gotta go, you gotta create, you gotta keep going. No matter how hard your day is, you gotta keep going so you can create at the end of the day. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it really keeps coming back down to that why. So like if we only created just to be creators, right? Get the accolades and the notoriety and stuff like that. I just don't think that we would really be utilizing our skills and our creativity in the right way, because I just feel strongly that if you're creating, you should be creating to heal somebody else, to bring somebody else through something, so somebody else can start a movement, so somebody else can, help their community. That's why we call this podcast Power and Community. I mean, it has to connect back to others so that they can be pulled forward. Even if you shine in a light on an issue and it begins to change a community, which film can do that. I think we underestimate the power of film because it can do that. And even if Lotus, even in the most basic sense, just gives people an understanding that, dang, somebody else is going through this. You know what I mean? That is huge. You know what I mean? On top of what you also do, which is educate them to be able to tell those stories too. Educate people in your community to be able to tell similar stories. So then it creates even more of a, oops, my timer went off. Sorry. Even if it educates those other people to kind of create this ricochet effect. So they watch Lotus and then they go out, create their own versions of, that kind of similar idea, or even something maybe even different that you can't even relate to. Like, yeah, you grew up in it, but you didn't deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Then it inspires them to kind of cultivate just more space for those struggles and those issues, which hopefully will bring change. Like that's like the whole goal. So I have a lot of admiration for what you're doing 100%, because I think we have to remember that our art is bigger than ourselves, and it's great to get like high fives and all of that stuff, but if you're not changing lives, it's not. I don't think you should really, go after that type of career. That's just my opinion. But yeah, speaking more even about Lotus. So while we were talking previously, when we had our previous phone call, I was thinking about what you meant by Lotus, and I actually ended up Googling the flower. And I realized that the lotus, it starts out in the mud before it blooms into that like really pretty pink purpley flower. Do you feel like you've always been on the path of the lotus when you look back growing up and stuff? You feel like you've always been that way, and is that why you use that name?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I used to hear it a lot as a child, and I don't want to get too deep, but I think within my household, my mom raising me, there was certain rituals that took place in that household, between my mom and myself and my sister. Rituals not in the spooky way, not saying that, but rituals as far as taking the virgin oil and anointing my head with the cross, praying over me a lot, getting in a closet alone in darkness and just being praying and being very, very spiritually in tune with God at that moment. So there was, and going to church and being baptized and being taught on the word. So these I consider as rituals. So I feel like all these rituals that took place during those times in my childhood made God ordain me, you know, or anoint me, or to say like, or to set my path of like, okay, as a sacrifice, this is what your future, this is what your line, now that you are aware, you know, the gift, the vision, the sight, the light is inside of you. So I'm going to take you to this and get you to this point, so someday you can be the light to others. So I've always seen myself as, I didn't see it necessarily at that time, of course, but when I became an adult and I was able to evaluate my life and look back and see the things and re-experience, revisit the things in my mind of what I went through and experiences, and specific in certain experiences. I definitely think that my life was written out to be this way. God definitely knew what he was doing when I was created. And God definitely, it goes deeper than that. God knew what he was doing when he created my mom, you know, because it's a line of ancestor. I don't want to say the wrong word. There's a line of sacrifices made by my ancestors to get me to this point. Just like the sacrifice I make will be passed down. The fruits of my sacrifices will be given to my kids and their kids, right? So I look at it like that, and I do believe that God set me on this path for a reason. And relating that to the lotus, yeah, absolutely. Like just the lotus coming from the mud and breaking through the mud to get to the surface top, to where it's people marvel over its beauty. Once I graduated from grad school, and to be honest, it started in undergrad where I was in my first movie. I was the shining star in Augusta in that Payne College. It kind of, at first it was a new experience. I enjoyed it, but eventually over time I became slightly irritated of the praise. You know what I mean? I became annoyed by the praise, because I knew that these people who loved me at this point in time, they had no idea of where I came from. They have no idea of the people I had to leave behind, and they have no idea of their stories. They have no idea, like, and they're praising, and they're praising me, and they're Samuel, you're just so beautiful, man. You're gifted, da 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 da. But 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, you know, I didn't think that of myself. So it was bothersome to me a lot. So and honestly speaking, like, I cannot. People ask me all the time, like, how did you come across the lotus flower? I honestly cannot remember. I believe someone introduced it to me, just like in Lotus, the film. And I just went into it more. I wanted to learn more about it. I've always been a curious person, and I like research. I like school, all that academia type stuff. So I just wanted to dig deeper and deeper in its meaning and its symbolism. And once I seen that, like, I was like, wow, like, damn, like, this is my life. This is coming from the mud and being marveled because of my gifts, talents that God has always put in me. But for some reason, they're finally sprouting. They're finally elevating. They're finally being noticed on a broad stage. Like, people can see me all over, whatnot. They can admire my work, whatever. This is like the lotus flower. This is just like the lotus. And I grasped that concept, and it became my logo. It became my symbol. It became my badge. It became because no matter how much a person could say, Sam, you are amazing. Sam, you are dope. I think me always having the lotus emblem on me and in my soul and spirit, I know where I come from, though I am where I am. So it, in a sense, keeps me humble in a way. You know what I mean? I think that's what's gotten me this far. And that's why a lot of people can relate and enjoy my work, because I'm so humble and down to earth. But the lotus consistently and constantly humbles me, because I know where I come from. It's like the Sankofa. You can't go forward without reaching back and knowing where you come from. You know what I mean? So yeah, that lotus is something powerful. And now it's even more powerful to me, because now other people recognize themselves by the lotus as well. Like, I have people, I have a tattoo, it says lotus on my hand. I kid you not, this week alone, I promise you, this week alone, I had 3, 4, 5, three people, one person including my brother, saying, hey, I think I'm gonna get the lotus tattoo on my hand. You know, and it doesn't say Samuel Fudge, it doesn't say Fudge, it doesn't say Sam, it just says lotus. So this is becoming a universal symbol to shed light on struggle becoming success. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's really dope. Yeah, very beautiful that other people, again, are being inspired. Because even, yeah, I'm like really blown away. Like I'm trying to put my thoughts together, but listening to you, I can see why you are an educator, like why people listen to you, not only because of the things that you've been through, but just how you speak and what you say. I really don't even need to touch on it because I think you say so much. That I'm hoping our creatives that are listening into this episode are really taking to heart and taking in, because this is the type of movement that we have to do when considering power and community. Whatever we do, we gotta create this effect. Like you got people tatting up their hands, right? Because they want to live this lifestyle of I'm coming out the mud, but I'm blooming. And then I'm doing Sankofa because I'm gonna bring those people from behind me forward. And it just resonates with me a lot, even myself as a creative, again, remembering that why, and even looking at my own work in my head. That's why I'm kind of like off a little bit, because I'm looking at my own work, like going through my mind, like, okay, let me really examine why I want to write this. Let me really examine why I want this on television screens or movie screens. Like, why do I want people tapped into this? How is it helping my community? How is it helping my people? How is it helping others be aware of what's going on and kind of transcend to be able to do what I'm doing, to do what you're doing? Like, it really is about this greater connection, like 100%. How can we live Lotus lifestyles ourselves, like in a most practical sense? As creatives and as people, how can we live that lifestyle where we coming out the mud and we're blooming and then we're reaching back as well?
First, I think rule number one is embracing the mud, embracing the struggle. We are humans. We're not supernatural. You know what I mean? We're not Marvel characters. You know what I mean? We are definitely humans, and we are in this society that was created for us to survive in. Right. So survival is human nature number one. We have to survive. And living a Lotus life, you have to survive, but also first most embrace the struggle, know and acknowledge the struggle. It is going to come. You can't run away from it. I think that's the thing with today. I think the main lead of depression and people just going haywire and out of their minds is because we treat struggle as something that's foreign and not supposed to happen. Like one struggle happens, I'm a failure in life because I am struggling at this moment. I can't pay my bill. Oh my God, life is over. No, that's a part of it that comes with it. So first, most you have to embrace it. You have to look towards it, look forward to it. I'm not saying I am saying anticipating it, but I'm not saying be cheerful. Struggle is coming. Hey, but just look forward to it. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? And it may not be financially. It may not be what the next person's struggles is, but there will be a sense of struggle in some way, shape, or form in individuals' lives. So first, most just embracing it, looking forward to it, knowing that it's going to happen. Secondly, whatever it is that you believe in, whatever it is that is your motivation, whatever it is that keeps you going every day. Well, I guess I have to go back because you first have to find that. Going back to how you say your why. What is your why? Why do you wake up? What makes you wake up and go to work that you dread? What makes you wake up and feel so enthusiastic about life? Whatever that is, acknowledge that as well and put a stamp on that as the reason. And keeping faith in that. If it's beyond how I live, I always set my goals and visions bigger than I can fathom. You know what I mean? It's bigger than me. So that gives me something to constantly work towards every single day of my life. But set it big. And if you accomplish that, set it even bigger, but continuously go. And that will be a template for you to continuously grow, you know what I mean, and evolve. But that why, having faith in that, knowing that it's going to happen, pray on it, meditate on it, give it to God. Let God know what that why is, and know that it's going to happen. Have faith in it. So as you're going through the struggle, this why that you're pursuing is always going to keep you going, no matter what. And the biggest thing with faith too is knowing that eventually you will reach where it is you're going. You have to have unwavering. I think I'm saying the word right. Unwavering faith, and knowing that you will reach that destination. As long as you put in the work for it, as long as you do everything by any means necessary to get to that point, you will get there. It's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? You will get there. You just have to have that faith. And so going through the struggle and having faith and knowing that you will get to your destination is living the Lotus lifestyle. No matter what circumstances you can be. And I don't want to go over time, but one fine example. I just made a short documentary on a man named Maurice Franklin. And he's become my best friend right now. He's one of my best friends at this point in life. And God placed him in my life for a reason. But this man, Maurice Franklin, was facing 1,100 years in prison, 1,100 years in prison on a crime that he did not do. He had evidence proving that he did not do this crime. He had cell phone evidence proving this. It had all his whereabouts at the time of the crime. But yet and still, because of his affiliation with the Crips gang, he was automatically tied in. And so he was facing so many freaking charges. And he's pulled away from his wife. He's pulled away from his kids at this point in time, right? But he's sitting in prison. I mean, at this time, he's sitting in county jail. And he's being told that he has potential of fate. He's has the potential of serving 1,100 years in prison. Like, I can't even think of what would I do. 1,100, that's not even real. A life sentence is 20, 25 years. That's overkill. You know what I mean? So, but yet and still, he had to sit in this jail, county jail every single day of his life up until his freedom, knowing that God is going to get him out of it. And from his story to me, he found Christ. He got closer to Christ while in jail. God told him, and I'll never forget this. When he told me this, he said that he had to face the ultimate question from God he had to face the ultimate question from God, which was, are you willing to sacrifice and go through this for me to ultimately give you what I promised to give you, right? That's what he had to come in terms with. So just using his story, and he gets me through a lot, you know what I mean? Because the Lotus needs motivation too, you know what I mean? But he gets me through a lot. But I look at it like that, like, if this man can sit in jail he's sat in jail for 2 years and have all these years thrown at him, and probably had to go through the criticism, the judgment, all that stuff, right? And still have faith to knowing that one day his freedom will be revealed, right? I mean, his innocence will be revealed. And to where now it is revealed and he's out right now and he's living life and he's back into society doing the thing. Like, that's the Lotus, you know what I mean? So just knowing that, yeah, the struggle may come and it may be different and it may hit you upside the head because you may not expect it, right? But it's going to come. But what's going to get you through that is your perseverance to get into wherever you envision yourself going. And I think what happens a lot is we may succumb. I mean, we may surpass the first struggle and get to the next level. And now it's too heavy. You know what I mean? Like, get to the next, now it's too heavy. You know what? This ain't for me. So we give up on our long life dreams. We give up on all our aspirations. And then we succumb to the norms of society, where I come from is mediocrity. You know what I mean? Which is accepting life as it is. You know what I mean? But that faith, man, that faith in knowing that you're going to get there, man, it will happen. It will keep you going. And that's definitely the Lotus lifestyle, going through the mud to ultimately becoming beautiful and shining your light and giving it back to the people who are too in the mud, because you ain't the only one in the mud. There's other people in the mud too. There's a whole community in the mud. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we come from a time where people really, especially now, don't really believe in struggling. They just quit on a lot of things because they shouldn't have to deal with. They need to, they shouldn't have to go through this. They shouldn't have to be treated like this. But it's like you said, everybody is going through it. And when you walk through it and you keep going and the things keep getting heavier, but you keep pushing through, you do, I do believe that you do see the end of you see the results that you want to see, and they might even come in different ways. Maybe, like you said, your dream is always bigger than you can even fathom. So you kind of got to be open to how they come into fruition. You know what I mean? They might not come in the way that you want them to, but pushing through is 100% the goal. I do think we live in a time where people just, it just kind of be like, who are y'all? Like, struggle is real and it's gonna be real, and we all are walking through some form of something. So to feel like you exempt of it, it doesn't make sense. I love the faith and spiritual aspect that you talked about too. I'm a very spiritual person too. God, Jesus, that's my homie. So 100% leaning on faith and leaning on direction from God as you go through that definitely helps me. And for our listeners who ain't religious, you can still take the concept of faith and realize that something is greater than you and pushing through those things to get to the outcome that you want, that what we hope, me and Samuel hope, will ultimately help the community and empower those around you. It's been wonderful having you on the Power and Community podcast, Samuel. Thank you so much for coming.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, how can we connect with you? I know you got Instagram, and then tell us what's up with the Lotus short film Instagram, and then also how we can keep up with your project 38 that you're coming out with.
Social media, man. Social media right now is my biggest platform. On Instagram, my name is Samuel Lee Fudge, SamuelLee Fudge, my whole name. Facebook is the same, Samuel Lee Fudge. The Lotus Film page on Instagram is _Lotus Film 2020, I think. But if you find my personal page, I have the Lotus link page in my bio. Lotus can also be found on Amazon Prime. You can just type in Lotus Film or type in my name and it should pop up. And then different festivals right now. A matter of fact, this is the first time I'm saying this, but publicly, because I'm not supposed to say it, but I will for you guys. But Lotus has just been accepted into the Black Harvest International Film Festival. So it'll be showing once more in Chicago, November 7th. And so just be on the lookout. Lotus may catch you before you catch Lotus, to be honest. You may wake up one day and there's the trailer on your TV or on Hulu saying that, it's going to be in theater somewhere. So yeah, just staying in tune with my social media. 38 will probably be on Amazon Prime, or it will be on a website that we create for the film. But just staying in tune with my social media, you'll get all those dates, all those updates.
Cool, yeah. And then when you launch it, let us know so we can post it on the Art of Me page so that everybody can keep up with 38. Y'all go check out Lotus so that you can figure out how you can be a Lotus in your life and your community. It's a great short film, and I think a lot of people need to watch it. And if not, like he said, it'll catch you before you catch it. And don't forget to visit us at www.artofme.org. And then our Instagram is @artofme.org. And our Facebook is Art of Me Productions. Thanks so much for listening to this podcast episode or watching us on YouTube, wherever you are. And we can't wait to bring you the next artist who we hope will inspire you to empower your community. See you all. Bye. What's up, Art of Me fam? Shonda here, and I'm the host of the Power and Community podcast, and I have a cool message for you. I need you right now to go head over to www.artofme.org, find our contact button, and hit donate now. That is the only way we're going to be able to continue to bring you amazing content, like talking to our filmmakers on podcasts, interviewing different communities in our publication, and then creating animations and short films. We want to continue to tell stories that are important to you. Head over right now, www.artofme.org, hit contact, and then hit donate now in order to help us fund amazing stories that are important to our communities. See you soon.